Hey guys, welcome to another episode here on CrossFit Garage Podcast. Yes, this is unscripted, where we are trying to help you have lay a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finances. And today we're back into finances, and I found someone great to talk to, and it's a unique story of how we actually got together. There's a lot of guys at the gym go to this Jubilee church just down the street, and I was like, hey, if all the guys at the gym that are going there already, and I like them, and they go to this church, and I don't really have a church, I should go. Then I bump into Scott, and so we're gonna have a great episode with Scott. And I've told you before, if you ever want to shortcut the process to anything, hire a mentor. So one thing you can do at the end of this, you can hire Scott to help you get out of debt. It's your money. He's not going to give you money, but he's going to give you advice and knowledge. So
That's right.
With that, Scott, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you find yourself here in Woodstock-ish, Marietta, Georgia?
Yeah, that's great. So, hey, everybody. I actually was born in Florida.
Okay.
But I've been in this area more or less since I was 7. Moved up here when I was a kid, 2nd grade, and came up here for my dad's work. And long story short, I grew up in this area, lived in Statesboro for about 13, 14 years, and then we came back up to this area back in 2017. So It's kind of sort of home.
What part of Florida did you live in down there?
We lived in Margate, so down on the southeast side of Florida.
For a while, I lived down there. With the last name McCann, you can't really tell, but over my mom and all of her family are Italians.
Okay.
So when I lived down there in Florida, I was a giant.
Okay.
But nowhere else. Yeah. So all my
Gotcha.
Italian family are like, 5'4", and I'm like just barely 5'8".
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it was fun, even as a kid being down there.
I thought we were talking giant from pastries and good Italian.
Yeah, they
food.
could be that too. Yeah. So
yeah.
the weird thing with our family is they had a fish market, and there was they were in the Shriners, and there's some always like ties to mafias and stuff. You're like, really? I don't know. We had a fish shop, and boats that went out to sea all the time. Like that would be a good way to hide. But that was, my grandfather's been passed away for a while. So who knows if all that stuff was true, but as a kid, I always said it. It was like, it's a great story.
We're not going to confirm or deny
that's
anything
right.
here.
Yeah, if you come after us, I got family.
That's right.
I would like to one day go to Italy. It'd be kind of fun. Have you ever been over there?
No, I haven't. Yeah. I've been to Aruba twice, and I've been to Mozambique and Africa.
Oh.
So those were the out of the U.S. times that I've had, but Europe hopefully in about 5 years.
Oh, yeah? So you got a plan coming up?
Yeah, so my wife and I have been married for almost 15 years. So
that'll be your 20?
That'll be our 20.
Silver? No.
I'm not
That's
sure.
25 is silver.
It might be.
I know what
you
it
could
is.
tell
It's
me.
a European trip year.
Okay, I was gonna say
20 is the big trip.
Yeah, you could tell me it's the aluminum foil year, and I would say that sounds right.
That sounds good, yeah. It's the trip planning year.
The year of Reynolds wrap.
That's right. As a kid, did you ever take the aluminum foil and like make it into a square and then rub it on the ground to make like a silver block?
Oh, no, I never did that.
That was good
but
stuff,
I am very good at pressing and packing it very firmly with the aluminum foil.
So,
I'm a very good cube maker.
Can you fold aluminum foil more than 7 times? They say paper you can't.
Okay.
Can you fold aluminum foil?
I would have to get back to you on that one.
We're going to test that out. Somebody let me know, because it is true. You can't take a piece of paper and fold it more than 7 times. It gets too thick.
Okay.
But aluminum foil may be different because
it might be.
It's probably thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Okay, so
cool.
Yes, this is also a podcast of tangents.
Cool.
So.
Well, I'm in good company then.
Okay, so the big thing is Scott can help you guys with knowledge working on debt. And I'm going to say, let's go into debt. So what's your story on debt?
Yeah, so I would say we grew up fairly normal as far as what a lot of American culture how they would view money, debt, borrowing, a lot of spending habits. I think we just kind of
borrow it and buy it.
Borrow it and buy it. If you can afford the payment, go for it. And even if you can't afford the payment, go for it anyway.
They brought back a thing called layaway. I don't know if you ever had layaway.
Yeah,
but I'm
we
did. You have credit cards. Why is there a layaway? But they will do it for you now.
Yeah, we had a store. I forget what it was, but growing up in Florida, there was definitely one store that was layaway. And I remembered it might have been Christmas presents that we would go there and make payments on it. It may have been closed. I forget what it was, but we've done layaway.
Yeah. So advice, don't do that, guys.
Yeah, and it's coming back sneaky with the buy now, pay later and like Affirm, things of that sort. You can just do it from your phone now.
The thing that baffles me, so every one of you guys should be using Mint or YNAB or something to track your budget. Yep. There's services out there, like you can get on an app, pay them $5 a month to read your bills and then tell you what you could already know just by going and looking at your bills. I'm like, what is this? They're like, breathe the air before I breathe it, just so I can breathe it. I'm like, it's the dumbest thing in the world. And my kids, whenever the ads come up, we're like, who, what? But it's out there. People don't know what they've subscribed to. They don't know what they're paying. They're like, it's just $5. That's why they make it $5.
That's right.
It's like, so for our gym, our membership's expensive. It's $175. We're going to coach you, mentor you, and keep you accountable. We want you to come in. We have about 100 to 150 members, and we want everyone coming in 5 days a week. Now, on the flip side, like the big, huge gyms, they have like 40,000 members, and they do not want you coming in. And you can even cancel your membership. And then be like, well, I'm not really going to cancel it. I'm going to pay a $5 fee to keep my rate active. So you're paying them
to not go.
for the privilege of keeping a rate you're not even using. I'm like,
goodness.
man, this is mind blowing. So guys, understand your debt. So how are you guys on debt? So if you're going to mentor people, have you done this yourself?
Yeah, we have.
There you go.
So we are debt free except for our house right now.
It's a tough one.
So, and we're aggressive with that. We should be done, I would say, between 5 and 7 years from now. And so I'm 37, so that would put us at early 40s with the house paid off. So God willing, that's the plan.
So I'll tell you this. We accidentally paid our house off when we were younger. There was a dual income, no children.
Okay.
And we're both engineers. I was a sales guy, so we're making some decent money.
Nice.
And I think it was, at 50, I forget the exact yearing. Let's just call it 2000. And it wasn't 2000, but that's Y2K was happening. So there was something going on. Maybe it was 2008. It was one of these years where there's a recession or depression, or maybe we were just depressed. I don't know. But my dad said, oh, you got a really big commission check. You should put it in the stock market because that's going to be awesome. And that's the normal advice. And my wife and I said, I don't know. I mean, our last big debt is the house. What if we just start jamming that thing down? And weird how freeing being out of debt at that age with no kids and double income. I mean, you could give and do and be generous, and you're like, I will definitely help you out. It's weird. It's not like the mortgage payment that went away. It was a long time ago. I want to say it was maybe like $1,300 a month, and you think, oh, it's just $1,300 a month that's going to go in your account. But it filled up. It's crazy.
Nice.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So our debt, I would say it wasn't anything that was like overly glamorous. It was just normal stuff, and it just stacked up. And in our case, we really didn't realize how much money we owed. We kind of knew general, like, this is about $200 a month. That's about $400 a month. So we didn't really have a clear picture. And when we started looking at everything and we added it up, it was $64,000 of non-mortgage debt. And at that point, combined income, we were making about $90,000 a year. So we were pushing like a significant amount of our annual income. And when we looked at that, it felt very much like this is never going to change. This is just how life is going to be. And it was good stuff. It was practical stuff. Like we put windows in our house. We had to replace the roof. We had to replace the HVAC. We had to rebuild our deck. What else did we do? We did toilets. We did water heaters. So it wasn't anything that was like, wow, you went on a ballin' trip. You're driving in a Lamborghini.
We have a roof overhead that doesn't leak.
That's right.
I mean, that is like,
and like, does it look better? Yeah, maybe. But like, was it worth $8,000? And I don't know.
So there is a scheme on this one on roofs that I didn't know about. But if you get a little bit of hail damage and you get the guy to come out and they go up there and they look and they're like, oh, look at that hail damage. Your roof is now going to cost $1,000. Wink, wink. I'm like, what is all this wink, wink? I don't understand what's happening. But you get a new roof, you pay $1,000, and then somebody pays them the rest of the money. I'm like, what is happening here? This is the weirdest.
We had some suspicious stuff in our attic that was maybe mold, maybe fire, maybe was a lightning strike, maybe there was no clarity. But that's what started kind of cueing us off to the roof. And we had a few folks come out and we got different things, and we went to insurance and we said, hey, can you help us with this? And they're like, nah, you should have known about this mystery in your attic.
You don't ask insurance, you ask the roof people.
The guy. Okay, you got to know a guy. Gotcha.
Yeah, the insurance guys, they kill me. So we have rental properties, and we had just normal like house insurance on them. Nobody, I mean, it's the insurance agent. You're like, it's a rental property. I told you that, and you just gave me the normal thing, which doesn't cover anything. So I need something different to be covered. And they're like, I'm like, so what have I been paying for? I think a business, like, I love that Christian Brothers Automotive. I don't know if they're Christian, but it makes me feel like they're going to be honest. I just need like Honest Insurance. That's our name. Just tell me what should I be buying?
Like, don't lie to me.
Right.
Tell me what I need to know, and let's do this.
Let's just do it. I just want to pay for the right thing.
That's right. No games. Let's just do it.
So you decided somehow, hey, we should probably tackle this debt. What clued you into that?
So part of the only piece that I didn't say as far as our debt goes is in May of 2020, so 2 months into the pandemic, we decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy a brand new vehicle. A brand new vehicle. from a dealership and everything. You know, we had some folks tell us, oh yeah, now's a great time. It's like 0% APR. You can borrow. It's free money. Just go get your car. Go do it. And so we were actually at the dealership, and I will say at that point in life, we were doing some semblance of budgeting. I had a Google Docs sheet pulled up, and we were playing with the numbers live. And basically, my wife and I came to the conclusion like, hey, as long as it doesn't exceed $500 a month, we can afford it. So let's stretch this thing out. And the number they came back with was like 484. So we were like, sold.
They knew.
We're buying this thing.
Yeah, somehow they had a mic on you.
That's right. That's right. So that was part of our $64,000 was a van, which we love. We still have. It's paid off now, and it's a great vehicle. That same van we actually took in August of that year to visit some friends of ours that we knew from Statesboro, Georgia. Their names are John and Olivia Egan. And we had been... we'd gone to church together. We were in small groups together. We knew them. They got connected to Ramsey stuff like 2 years into their marriage, and they paid off, I think it was about $50,000 of debt in about 2 years, which was wild at that point. And they would, they drove like cheap cars they paid cash for. They always seemed to have money to go to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, how are you going to Chick-fil-A? Every time we have small group, we're like sitting here eating... Who knows what we were eating back then? It wasn't Chick-fil-A.
Leftovers and stuff.
Leftovers
Were great, though. I do a lot of that.
Yeah, we do too. So we knew a little bit about, hey, there's a different way to approach all this stuff. But that was probably 2010. So there was a period of about 10 years where we were just like, we had a little bit of exposure to that, but we did nothing with that information. And so consequently, like we never made any progress. We had student loan debt that we were doing let's do income-based repayment and let's see if we can like play the game to get the smaller payment so we can get it forgiven. We were playing that whole thing.
Right.
So fast forward to 2020, we drive down to visit our friends for Labor Day weekend. It would have been same friends,
okay.
And our brand new van, and we're thinking we're hot stuff. And so we drive down there, and I mean honestly, like kind of boastful because it's like,
look what I got.
This thing out. It's pretty nice, isn't it? And when we saw them, there was no shaming. There was no like, do you guys remember like what we did when we were first married? But just being around them, it kind of sparked something. And I was like, I forgot you guys paid off $50,000 in debt in like 2 years when you were making each $35K. Like, that's insane. That's amazing. They were dinks. They were dual incomes, no kid.
Yeah.
No dual incomes, no kid at that point. And so it kind of just... it opened our eyes. From that point, I went home and I immediately signed up for Financial Peace University, which is a class that Dave Ramsey developed to really walk through this process of getting out of debt, but then more importantly, putting in a plan for your money. So that was really what got us started. It was honest assessment of like, hey, where are we with this? A little bit of remember what came up. If you guys can hear
this. The cat would like to be part of the show.
This is our cat, Mikey. He's going to be paid very well for this podcast.
Just do not step on the pause or end. I'm going to cover that.
This may be the world's loudest cat and the most vocal cat. So it's a good time. So yeah, that's really where our story began. And we were actually able to pay off, it was $64,000 of non-mortgage debt. So again, that was roof, windows, HVAC, toilet, van, normal stuff. So we paid that off. Our goal was initially 24 months is what we were looking at. So 64K in 24 months was the plan. And we were actually able to do it in 15 months. So
wow.
We killed our goal, which was fantastic.
Did you guys do a thermometer or a Google sheet or something to like, let's play this game?
So part of, if part of Financial Peace University, what it includes is like a baby steps tracker.
Okay.
And so baby step 2, I think it had a little piggy, if I'm not mistaken. It was like a little piggy icon. Sure. And so it's kind of like a piggy bank notion. Yeah. And it was just really exciting for us. Every month we'd go in and make the payment, and like you start seeing stuff disappear and like it's filling up, and then it changes your projected date. And we kept seeing that move.
Yeah, we're going to get into who Dave Ramsey is and his methods and stuff. Yep. So guys, if you haven't, we're going to get into it, but I would Google him or YouTube it and watch some of the things he does. Yep. It is a fascinating story, and we're going to get there. So the thing that you said a couple things I'm just going to throw out there, and then I'm going to have you explain a little bit.
Cool.
But so they get you on this monthly fee. Mm-hmm. That you're like, oh, I can afford it because of the monthly fee. But
not Dave Ramsey, but the folks that we were borrowing money from.
Yeah. So they're like, it's $50,000.
Yeah.
Oh, but by the way, this car, whatever it is, I'm buying 25, whatever.
Correct.
But it's only $500 a month. Yeah. You could it's subscriptions and all that. So
that's right.
You got to watch out for these monthly bits.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And you need to look into your own finances.
Yeah.
So that's huge. And they do that on purpose.
Correct. Yeah.
And then they tell you something like, there's free money. You know what it's not?
Yeah,
It's
not
not
free
free.
money. Yeah.
They got you somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, and it is neat along those lines because you think about, okay, so is the car dealership, is the rooms to go, is the whatever store, are they doing this out of the goodness of their heart, or do they have an agenda? Have they conveniently worked that cost into what you're actually paying for said item because they've now given you 0% interest? It's not a ministry. They're not actually out to bless you.
That's right. And even in a ministry, you need profit.
Yeah.
But these guys are really about profit.
Yeah, like they're actually a business.
That's it.
They're
like,
actually a business.
This is what we want. We want your money.
That's
and
right.
we're going to get it somehow so we can stay business and feed our kids.
Yeah.
And there's no altruism. We're just here doing our thing.
Yeah, and it's not to go into things like skeptical or assuming that folks are going to, try and pull one over on you, but it's just being mindful, like what may be in it for them. And is this something that I want to engage in with them, or are we going to go a different route to still get this thing, but like, can we do it differently? Can we pay cash for it?
That's right.
Can we not play the games?
I have not, so paying cash for cars is kind of cool. Once you're out of debt, you can save up for it.
That's right.
Yeah. My kid, so I've got 4 kids, and the last one is about to start driving.
Okay.
And we usually just shift cars down so they never get, they just get whatever we've been using.
Yeah.
And really it's whatever she who must be obeyed, so whatever Verity wants, my wife.
Okay.
Like if you want a new car or a used car or whatever, she gets to pick, and then we just float them down.
Yeah.
But so getting trapped, I've tried to show them like, the dealers want your money one way or another, and they get anyway. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this car thing. So there's a book that I read a long time ago that kind of got me into this track. It's the Millionaire Next Door. So it's like the trends and things that the next door neighbor millionaire does. Like they drive a Honda Civic, they have a normal house, they've got 2.5 kids, a dog, and they have Velcro shoelaces or whatever, right? So it's a very fascinating take on, well, they just live a small life, right? They're not Lamborghinis and whatever, right? And then I heard, I think it was maybe Robert Kiyosaki got me into Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
I'm like, this is fascinating.
Was that Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, the Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's exactly it. So that book made me think, well, he says any idiot can be a landlord. I'm any idiot. I could do this. But then Dave Ramsey really caught my attention. And I mean,
what year was this for you? Man. Like, do you know when you got connected?
It was probably just coming out of college. So it'd have been like in the late 90s.
Okay.
Like
that's right around when he was getting started.
I think so no podcast. It was like
the radio.
Yeah, radio and books on tape, and like you had to go. Like I love going to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
And then you would get a book on tape, and now CD, and now I guess your phone does it all. But
that's not as fun.
No. Yeah. So and we used to always go to Cracker Barrel. But yeah. So the next thing is, so we're gonna kind of scoot around to let you guys learn a little bit more about Scott. You do some endurance races. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I am not a CrossFitter. I was.
Whoa. So have you done CrossFit before?
So I did CrossFit one time.
That's it.
And
you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Exactly one time. And,
was it at our gym?
No, it was up. Okay. It was up at a gym in Nashville. We were up for a conference connected to our church, and one of the guys who I don't know if he's on staff or just one of the leaders there. He owns a CrossFit gym, so I went there.
Come over there and he like make you throw up.
It was neat. It was neat.
Yeah.
It was dark and it was early and it was neat.
Did he? Did they tailor it back to help you have a good experience?
Well,
or did they just throw you
the
right
trouble is I went with a lot of guys from your gym. So so the workout that was planned was like, you guys, you're ready for this.
Man, we made a lot of bad business decisions, and it wasn't. Well, I'm an electrical engineer by degree.
Yeah.
I really have no business running a business. I'm learning how to do all this as you go, right? You're like, hey, I'm tired of working for the man. What do I do? Well, dang, I have to work for the man, which is me. Now I got to, right? So we used to, like, Scott, you're interested in CrossFit. Great. Show up to the 7 p.m. class. I hope it works out.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is so bad. Would you send your kid, like, oh, you can drive now. Just here's the keys. Just go out there. And I don't know. Do you know the rules? I mean, you've stood up and sat down. I mean, so bad. So now we do an on-ramp and we really work with people and teach them and talk to them. But it was, So I think CrossFit did ourselves a disservice by being like, bro, you can do it. Let's just do it. Like, no, don't just let's do it.
Yeah.
It's still a great, I still do it. It's a great workout. It's a great hack to health and fitness. I'm amazed. I'm 50 and I'm still throwing down from pretty decent numbers. And my daughter and I are going to go like on a 24-hour adventure race.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, so endurance racing for you. So what are you doing?
So right now, not a whole lot, but I will say I started running when I was 17. So junior, senior year of high school,
yeah.
I was like, I'm going to start, and I'm 37. So I've been running for about 20 years. That started with, well, let's see if I can work up to a 5K. And then it was, let's see if I can get in a 10K. Let's get in a half marathon. Let's get in a full marathon. And truthfully, that was kind of the progression. It was just continuously pushing myself a little bit. And I discovered I really liked it. And initially, I would run with music. I was training for a half marathon in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. At that point, we lived in Statesboro, Georgia, where it's super flat, super humid, super like not a mountain. And I decided, being the genius that I am, we're going to do a half marathon for the first time on an actual mountain. That's a trail race, and this is going to be fine. And it was fine. That race was, because it was a trail race, you couldn't have more than 2 people next to each other. And so one of the rules was no music. And so that was pretty interesting because you need to be able to hear the runners coming up behind you. So that season, I was training in Statesboro, where it's very flat, very humid, in preparation to go run this, 13.1 miles on a mountain. And that was actually really cool because I tapped into like a different level of awareness and a lot of, I'm a Christian as well. And so being out early morning, like before the city's awake, you just like, you see stars and you can just listen to your thoughts and you can hear God, and it's amazing. So I got really into it at that stage of life. And that was right around the time we were having kids. So from that point, I did decide, you know what, I actually tried to train for a full marathon when I was in college before I did the half marathon. I think I wasn't approaching it well, maybe didn't have the right shoes, wasn't doing something right, got shin splints, like gave up. And then fast forward a couple years, I did the half, and then a couple years after that, I did the full marathon.
So you got it in there, yeah.
Yeah. So I've gone all the way up through there, and I had some, like, it made me feel like I was close to death, but also like closer to Jesus simultaneously.
There you go. It's a eye-opening experience. Yeah. So doing a run on the road versus running on a trail, it's significantly harder because you have to be super aware and little things catch you. And
that's right.
Maybe it's better on the knees. It's not pavement, I guess. I don't know, but
I prefer trail. I significantly prefer trail, and especially if it's a trail near water. That to me is like, that's the perfect run.
Yeah. Did you say you did a triathlon up there in Chattanooga too?
No, that was just a half marathon.
Yeah, these guys that do triathlons, I'm like, their tagline is, if you're still on your first wife, you're not training hard enough.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, wait a minute.
So, what are we actually promoting here?
Right. So one of my buddies does do triathlons, and he did an adventure race with us.
Okay.
And he was in much better shape than us, but riding a mountain bike is much different than riding a road bike.
That's right.
So he's like, it's a little kid, like not my thing, but he crushed it.
Nice.
You said you did CrossFit exactly once. I love that in your text to me. That was great. Now, you also work for KSU. What do you do at KSU?
Yeah, so I work
Wait. KSU is Kennesaw State University.
That's
for
correct.
Anybody who's not in Georgia. I know there's some people in Australia that download us. I love you guys. I would tell me your name.
There's actually a guy that I just met that works at KSU that's from Australia. It may be that you recruited your listener, and now he lives here.
I've got a cousin who lives in New Zealand, so I'm curious if he somehow, like Devin, if it's you, let me know. Right. So you're at KSU.
Yep, I'm at KSU. And I will say anything that I say about KSU is just Scott Curley's opinion. This is not reflective of KSU beliefs.
There you go. I love that. We have disclaimers. We need that. There's so many people downloading this podcast. Yeah, in the millions. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, Joe Rogan and I, we're like this. Yeah, we're super close.
Yeah, I get that. I can tell that about you. So I'm the director of academic advising for the Bagwell College of Education. So basically what that means is I work within our education programs, predominantly with the team who works with students. Okay. So I am a little bit more removed from the day-to-day functions as the director, as the leader of the office, but I do still get to meet with students and help them. So there's a combination of, here's some stuff you can be doing to be more successful. Here's some different stuff you can be doing. We touch on careers. We touch on motivation. We touch on study skills. We touch on lots of different stuff.
That's cool.
And a lot of what I do is having meetings, looking to streamline things, and engaging in conversations that need to be had on behalf of students and my team.
Oh, I like that. So it's there are many things that I would like to tell my kids, and they just won't hear it. But if coach or boss or the other person that's not me, you
sometimes
tell these students the same thing, like, hey, you should probably study, or let's not write. They're going to be like, Well, he said it.
Yeah,
so it
that's
must
a
be
really
true.
good idea. I've never heard that before.
Parents are like, thank you. Just parents, if you're out there and you have that situation, ask your friend to say it, and then just take a deep breath and say thank you.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be you.
That's right.
It could be somebody else. So thank you for taking care of those students.
Absolutely.
So Evie's my youngest, and she has this idea. She's like, high school is kind of I'm like, well, that's true. I tell my kids it's a 4-year prison sentence. Okay. Get your education, get out. You're never going to see these people again.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly true. They still have some friends. 2 of them are graduated. One's a senior.
Okay.
I said, just suck it up. It'll be okay.
Yep.
So, but it will be over. There's an end to it, right? And she's like, could I end it earlier? Could I do dual enrollment at KSU? I'm like, I guess.
Can I go to college for free?
Yeah, they do that. You can go and get your, as they'll let you in as a sophomore.
Yeah.
As long as you've had algebra 2 maybe. You can get in as a sophomore, junior or senior.
Yep.
And it's like tuition is paid for by the state or
That's
something.
right. That's exactly right.
What?
Yeah.
So there's hope.
Still a high school student.
Yeah.
But also, as you're finishing your high school degree, you're taking credits. And they, especially if you go to KSU, we're part of a system, a network called the University System of Georgia, or USG. And those classes are all transferable to any USG school. So if you start out at KSU and, again, KSU, hello, love you, you stay at KSU, or if you don't stay at KSU, those credits just transfer.
Do you have to stay in Georgia, or can you go anywhere?
You can technically go anywhere, but it's guaranteed placement within Georgia. But if someone goes out of state, then it would be evaluated based on some learning outcomes.
We just had Evan's good buddy, Andrew, did his first year at KSU with the intent of going to Georgia Tech. And they took everything.
Yeah.
I told him, they probably won't take your calculus because they're very strict about their, no, they took it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how about that?
It's all part of the same family.
He's going to be, I think, nuclear engineering or something. I don't know. He had something really tough. I'm like, I think you picked the hardest one. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
So I went to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And I shoved my kids the other way. I'm like, don't go. It's so hard. And it could be because I really wasn't that sharp. I just worked really hard. But oh man. So Evie has come up with this idea that, well, how could I do it? I'm like, I don't know. So we've been exploring this idea.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
So I think she can.
Yeah. Well, and then I don't know, so parents, if you're out there, this is fascinating.
Yep.
You can have college credits paid for by the state.
That's right.
And your kid's not really involved in high school. I mean, I think they're still registered at the school.
That's correct, because it's working for both.
Yeah.
So
do you go to school at KSU, or do you do it online?
You can do either. So you can do in person, you can do online, and then some dual enrolled students are all day at KSU. Some just will go for a class and then they're back to their high school. So it depends on how hard you want to go and what the course offerings are, things like that.
So what would be the So when they do, having all these kids graduate, they're like, I have a 4.2. I'm like, look, all A's is a 4.0. What is a 4.2? They're like, Dad, come on, man. We told you this all the time.
You don't have anything.
Yeah, so apparently if you get an A in an honors class, you get an extra 0.5 or something. It's honors.
It can be honors or STEM weighted classes.
Yeah, STEM and AP and D, they give you extra, it was harder, so we're just going to give you points.
Right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So does it change their ability to get into, I don't know, Georgia Tech or UGA or whatever, or even just KSU if they didn't actually graduate high school? If they did this, if they go all time, full time or whatever it is, part time, dual enrollment, does it change their weighting system? You did. I mean, I would think it would be cool. You're already in college doing college work. So yes, that's way better than honors history. It's college history.
Yeah.
But I don't know that.
I don't know that it would impact. And I think, maybe due to movies, we kind of have this sensationalized view of a guy or a board that's oh, this essay is trash. This is garbage. That's not usually how it works in admissions. It's kind of just data processing where it's if this, then this, and cool, welcome in.
Right.
You paid the admissions, you meet the criteria, we'd love to have you. So, a lot of that depends on the school, if they're selective or if they're open access, all that stuff. So it probably doesn't hurt. And really, I love that we're touching on this because a lot of, part of our story with that was student loans. And if you can engage in dual enrollment, then you're lessening the time you're in college, which is lessening the likelihood you're going to take out debt. So it's a great thing. Yeah. I will say with that, when I was in high school, I knew one guy who took one class dual enrollment, and I was like, "This is weird." I graduated in 2004. It was forever ago. I'm ancient. But
I will
now
tell you when I graduated. I graduated in 2004 as well, but it was the other century. It was 1904.
It was a good year. It was a good year for.
I'm looking good for 126.
It's the CrossFit.
It is the CrossFit, guys. You heard it right here. Yeah. Scott can see me. It's the CrossFit.
Right. Yeah. So with that though, it's I only plug that I would say say is it's not right for everybody. Like for when I was in high school, I was not emotionally or probably academically prepared to step into that.
Yeah.
So, my wife and I both work at KSU, so we see things from the college side. We also see things from the parent side. And I think it's just a conversation have with your kids. Like if it's going to be successful, great. If it's a horrible idea, even though it has good perks, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, Evie is a dirty fourth-born. So she has a mouth like a sailor. And I'm like, oh, it's because you're the fourth in line, and your sister said it, and your brother said it.
Yeah.
Right. So
and
she's
they're
like,
still alive.
Yeah.
So
her maturity is like, she's like, I know everything. I'm like, So funny story, we had Olivia, our oldest, at We School at First Baptist.
Yeah.
And she had this great friend, I don't remember her name, Tina, but Tina would say things like, Santa's not real. And you're like, what? And she would she threw it all out there. I'm like, you can't be friends with Tina. She's like a little hellspawn.
Yeah.
Turns out she's like the fifth kid.
Okay.
And so now that I have the fourth, I'm like, oh, I get it. She just knew everything. She's just right. She knew all the tricks and hacks and whatever. Like I was very naive. There's a lot of things that I've learned over time. One of them is how to be a better human. So yeah, right. I'm trying. So there's when you were talking about the sorry, I'm going to back us up and scratch off this note. When you were talking about the hike that you went on and getting this wisdom and whatever, I do feel like Evie's driving me to school and I'm like seeing cars flash beside, that's getting close to Jesus as well. Every time she does, right?
That's right.
But there's this book called The 12-Hour Walk. Okay. So you go out in the woods and you walk for 12 hours, but he wrote this book on it, and it's a fascinating read.
Yeah.
It may be up your alley. So
that's cool.
But back to KSU, or not into KSU, but the debt side of college. I think that's one that gets people, and they don't really understand what's happening. They're like, I'll sign up for it.
That's right. Yeah. So I will say this is something that, again, I think is maybe a little bit of a disconnect between media and reality. So I'll just say that. And again, these are Scott Curley opinions, not reflective of KSU. So the way that most schools do it, there is no automatic granting of student loans. So there are some schools, I know one private school in Tennessee that I will not name that apparently automatically accepts it on behalf of students because most of their folks take them. So how a lot of schools will do it is you fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, FAFSA. And so from that, you get an offer, and then you choose, do I accept this, do I not accept it? And within that, there will be some free funds like scholarships, the Hope Scholarship as an example, or Zell Miller if you're in Georgia, that can be applied for through FAFSA. And that's free money, it's state money, you never have to pay that back. So I think, some folks may not know that you can accept the free money and decline the borrowed money. And it's not like they're going to not give you the free money, because if you're entitled to it, you get that money.
We were confused on that with Olivia.
Yeah,
and
you're
I'm like, I don't know what's
happening. What are they going to do?
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this one. So parents, you may not know this. The Hope Scholarship, if you're not in Georgia, you definitely don't know it. But the Hope Scholarship and the Zell Miller Scholarship, similar but different.
Yep.
And they basically will pay for tuition for about 4 years, as long as you maintain like a 3.0 or a 3.8 or whatever the markings are.
Yep.
I've had, my youngest sister, Vivian, who was like 28, I think it was Vivian, one of her friends dual enrolled and then took 2 years of college in high school and then used the 2 extra years because she got her undergraduate degree to get her master's. So she had the Hope pay for her master's. Nice. I'm like, wait, what? And I think the way she did it was she never actually graduated. She left one class undone.
Okay.
And then she finished them both at the same time.
Yep.
Like,
I was gonna ask you about that because it does cap out when you finish your first degree
and so she never finished it or something like that. I'm like, that is fascinating. But it was still just 4 years.
Yeah.
So my kid told me. So parents know this. Over the state lines, there's two little gems that they're going to lure you to. One is Auburn and the other is Clemson.
I've heard of these.
Yes. And once you cross the state line, you no longer get Hope Scholarship or Zell Miller. So Olivia's tuition with her scholarship for being smart or whatever it was she got. I'm sorry, honey, I don't know what it was for. It's still $15,000 a semester.
Oh, yeah.
Evan is going to UGA.
Yeah.
And his is $1,500 a semester. Like, what? That is insane. So we are lobbying Levi and Evie to stay in state. Big time.
Yeah. And I've heard you talk on some other podcasts.
That's right, because everybody listens to the CrossFit Garage podcast.
I mean, if you don't, you should.
It's huge.
Yeah, you for sure should. So, and I know you've got 529 plans for your kids. So you've got college savings plans.
Except for Evie, because we forgot.
Yeah. But we love Evie, though.
Yeah, we do. She's like, look, we're just going to pay cash. But you can roll those down.
Yeah. That's
so
right.
Evan won't use all of his because he's in state, and it's like, this is way cheaper than I ever thought thought it would be.
Yep. And I was going to ask you, from a parent perspective and someone who saved for kids' college, did you guys have those conversations around, hey, this is what we're willing to pay up to, and if you exceed this, then that's on you? Or did you just say, hey, you guys have really worked hard at this, and we're in a place where we can bless you with this, so where you want to go?
Yes to all of those.
Okay.
And it changed over time.
Yeah.
So originally it was, look at us, we save money, we pay things off, let's start 529s.
Yeah.
And then Olivia went to Auburn for chemical engineering. I'm like, hey, that's $15,000. Evan went to UGA. Wait. And so I'm learning. So Levi, I'm like, Levi's pretty good with like getting his own stuff done. Yeah. And he's like, I got this. Hold my beer. I'm like, well, that's funny, but don't say hold my beer.
Yeah, don't do that.
So he's getting all his stuff done. I'm like, so right now I think he's aiming at UGA. He's got a couple acceptances. He did really good on his ACT and his GPA and all that. He's worked hard for it. So he is taking care of all of that. So the story has changed to Levi. Yeah. I trust you. You're going to finish the application and actually get into UGA, and you're going to do the FAFSA? FAFSA, yes.
Yeah, a lot of people say FAFSA, and that is inaccurate.
That's the other one. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that is.
That's community chest. Right now we're talking about the other one, chance. Right, chance and community chest for Monopoly. It's different.
Okay.
Yeah. So I told him. Yeah. I was like, so here's the deal, buddy. I am happy to work with you for college and get this thing done if you do it right.
Okay.
If you mess it up and you go from 1,500 to 15,000 because you just didn't fill out a form, you're going to have to work.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I've learned my lesson. Yeah. Like we would give the kids like, oh, you have an allowance and here's some chores. And I'm like, no. You're in YNAB and you have to schedule your money and detail your budget because they're like, Dad, this magical little square of plastic, for some reason I can't buy things. I'm like, it's not magic. I'm teaching them bad lessons, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, that's cool, and I like your approach to college. And you know, our kids are 10 and almost 8, so we've got a few years before
you better start taking the ACT now.
That's right. Ship them off to some sort of studying boot camp, right? But we're planning kind of a combination of what you guys are doing. So we are saving some money for kids' college already, and that's part of the baby steps that I imagine we'll talk about from Ramsey.
Yes, we are going to get into Dave Ramsey soon. Know, sorry, guys.
This can be a 3-hour podcast. We can like rival an Avengers movie.
That's right.
And you guys can hear my cat.
But that is a superhero.
It is.
She's
a superhero.
Actually a villain because she's about to step on my phone, aren't you? You're looking for it. I know.
Where am I going with this? So I think having a combination just for us of some savings set aside and then also just cash flowing expenses and also having them work when they're in school. Yeah. It doesn't have to just be. I think the important thing is have a plan, right? So with all of this stuff, have a plan.
If you have a plan or a goal, you'll get there. If you don't, then you're going to end up on somebody else's plan.
That's
and
exactly
you know what?
right.
The guys who want your money, they want your money.
That's right.
So they're going to get it.
Yeah.
Because you have no plan.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll jump ship real quick. We're going to do two quick or one topic, and then we're going to get into some Dave Ramsey. We're going to give you some ideas on baby steps. Give you guys a couple of things you can do. Again, you can do all of this online. You can read a book. You could go to the website. But I promise you, if you want to get something done faster, hire a mentor. Scott is available. You could call me, text me, email me, and I'll get you to Scott. But before we do that, Jubilee Church, how'd you get involved in that?
Yeah, so we've known the folks who lead. Okay, this is good English. I speak English as a first language.
No, yeah, you're in education. That's good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's perfect.
So, okay, Bryce and Christine Fogel are the lead pastor and our pastor's wife. My wife, Christy, was actually roommates with Christine, Bryce's wife, in college at Georgia Southern. So Christy knew Christine and Bryce before they were married. And I came into the scene 2007 is when Christy and I started dating. So at that point, Christine and Bryce were married. They are actually the people that were pretty strongly influential in leading us to faith and accepting Jesus and realizing what he's done in our lives, which is amazing. So we got connected in Statesboro. They moved up here before we did. I think it was maybe 2012, 2013. So we kind of lost touch for a little bit. And I mentioned that I was born in Florida, grew up here, left, and came back. And when I say here, like literally my parents' house is 3/4 of a mile down the road. So where we're sitting right now, I have walked many times, and it's like, it's not even a hard walk.
Getting my steps in.
Getting my steps in, yeah. So we grew up very close to here. So I knew that they were in the Woodstock area and could picture exactly where they were when they were living there. So once we moved up here in 2017, we did not initially start going straight to Jubilee. We had visited Jubilee once, maybe 2015, when we came up to visit my parents, and we loved it. It was different than the church we were a part of in Statesboro, and it was much smaller than what we were used to. So we were like, hey, that was pretty cool, but I don't know if that's exactly what we're looking for.
Right.
So we, for about 3 months, once we moved up here, we tried some different churches, and we would like different things about them, the worship, the teaching, the community, but we never really found anywhere that had all three of those things in a really sweet spot. And this is kind of funny, but it was the first day of January, first Sunday of January of 2018 is when we visited Jubilee, and we have never gone anywhere else since then. And the reason that I say it's funny is Craig and Natalie Guffey, who I know are members of Jubilee and also CrossFit Garage, we have kind of some strange parallels. So we both visited Jubilee the exact same Sunday, the exact same year, but we also got married the exact same day, the exact same year. And we didn't know each other.
How about that?
Like literally, they beat us by 1 hour in marriage.
Yeah,
so maybe they could just take a nap and we can like just exceed. We can catch them.
Doppelgangers or a body snatchers. Yeah. They are really good people. I keep telling, like, we have a motto on the board. It's we are happy, humble, helpful people. We want to be healthy and fit now as well as in our 90s.
Yep.
Natalie has joined the team, and she is happy, humble, and helpful. I mean, she is so bubbly and fun to talk to. She's always got a smile on her face.
Yep.
Yeah, she is awesome.
That's awesome.
Craig is awesome. I know he's taken a position in the church doing the stores.
Yeah, that's right.
And I try to get him on the podcast to talk about it. He's like, no, but I'll send you an email and you can post that. I'm like, all right. So it's a consignment store called Revive, just down the street from the gym guys.
Yeah,
so
we've got two locations, one in Woodstock, one in Smyrna.
If you ever are thrifting or looking for good stuff, and so it was funny, he was telling me being next to Goodwill is actually great because when we don't want to take the things, because that's like not what we're going to sell, we just tell them donate it to Goodwill. I'm like, beautiful. Yep. So I ended up finding, it was I found y'all's church. I didn't realize that like 20 or 30 of our members were going to the church, guys and girls. And then like one day I overheard him saying something. I'm like, I like these guys. They have the values are very similar to mine.
That's right.
We like to work out and do stupid stuff. Aaron took a bunch of guys and went on this like mountain man retreat hunting elk and stuff. I'm like, nice. I wish I could have good there. I'm into that stuff. Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, I don't do good with church. I grew up Catholic. Which
I did too.
Basically, don't go to church, like except for Easter and Christmas, right? Yeah. And so we tried a bunch of places. We tried to find a lot of community in the very small North Point church.
Yeah, very small.
Very super small. I think it's too big.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I think the thing that I've never really tried is go to a place where people I already know and like are already there.
Okay.
So so I've only been twice now, but both times I've like saw new people from the gym that I didn't know. So Pete sat next to me. He's like, no, this is my first time. I'm like, great. Yeah. And the next time, John Mastro showed up and he's like, this is our second time. I'm like, well, here we all are.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been pretty cool. But so in that, the reason this comes up is I saw you at the last service, or y'all were talking about, hey, we do financial peace studies to help people. So another way you guys can get mentoring is join these study groups when they have them. Look at the Jubilee website, or I guess ask me and I'll find out when they are. Yeah. But if they don't do that and they want to get into Dave Ramsey, tell me what Dave Ramsey's approach is, why he did this, and like what do people do if they want to get out of debt? What are the basic ideas? Yeah.
So I would say people get plugged in a few different ways to the Ramsey principles. So one of them is doing a class, which we've mentioned already, Financial Peace University, or FPU. So that was our initiation, really, was just, well, this is the class that teaches this, so we're just going to sign up for a class. Other folks will get connected more through books. There is a book in particular called The Total Money Makeover that was really Dave's first main book that lays out the process of the 7 baby steps. So some people get into it from the book. Others get into it from the podcast. So I am big on, I listen to the Ramsey Show podcast a lot, and a couple other shows on their network. One of them is called Smart Money Happy Hour. I don't know if you've ever listened to that one. But it's 2 personalities. It's a guy named George Campbell and then Rachel Cruz, and they have a cocktail or mocktail, and they podcast and they talk about pop culture events, but connect them to the baby step principles. So there's a lot of approachable ways that you can get connected to this material depending on what you like. And for me, like, I learn from the podcast, but I'm also just entertained. Right. To the point where it's like, oh yeah, it's my friend George and Rachel. Like, I actually have met Rachel. I've not met George. When we were up in Nashville, we got to meet them at the studios. Very cool. So there's different ways to get connected. And I think ultimately, for folks who are interested, it can feel coming into this, it can feel very much like this is complicated, this is weird, and like I've found from talking to people about Dave Ramsey, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, debt snowball, cash envelope system, and those are part of what he teaches, but it's not the entire thing. And so I've found a lot of times is that folks don't realize it's an actual process beyond that.
Right.
And it's not just get out of debt and, never have fun and don't use a credit card ever and don't ever use debit, just use cash. But it's more than that. It's we build the foundation and then we build from that foundation with the 7 baby steps. So those are a few different ways that folks can get connected. One of the things that I've done is through this, we've been walking out this process, and I have done a certification through Ramsey, their financial coach master training program. So I'm also a certified Ramsey financial coach, which is where the one-on-one coaching, mentoring can come in. Yeah. So lots of different ways, honestly.
Sorry, Kat.
I would say there's not a wrong way to get into it, depending on what you like is probably what avenue you should look for.
And there's these 2 approaches they go through. Debt snowball is the one they recommend. And I get it. Emotionally, it works. The other is the debt avalanche. So tell me what these 2 systems are and why debt snowball is the one that works.
Cool. So this is really a process for paying off debt. And essentially with the debt snowball, you don't pay attention to interest. You pay attention to balance. So what you're doing is you're stacking up your debts and the smallest balance to the largest balance. And the reason that they found that this is working and effective, and the reason they recommend this, is because you start to realize that it's more about behavior than it is about head knowledge. And so in our case, when we paid off the $64,000 of non-mortgage debt, we did it from the debt snowball. And I think our smallest balance was maybe like $800, $1,000, and we were able to actually just pay that off the very first month that we got started. And then what that did is it showed us, hey, this first thing is already paid off, and it also freed up that amount we were paying every month. And then the whole notion is what you've now paid off, you take that amount and you put it into the next one, put it into the next one, put it into the next one. So
thus the snowball. So think of it, you take an $800 small snowball, start rolling it down the hill, it gathers traction or gathers cash, and builds into the biggest and bigger and bigger. Right.
Exactly. And so for us, it was very, very motivating to start to see some of those smaller things go away. And it helped me believe in the process. And I remember there was one point as we were going through this financial peace class, when we crossed over the $20,000 of debt paid off, which was actually still in the class, which is crazy because it's only 9 weeks. When we got to that $20,000 paid off mark, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen.
And the crazy thing is, it's not like you went out and like sold a leg or a kidney.
I still have all of my original parts.
And you're like, it's it's just amazing that people, like, we don't look and see. Yeah. So when you looked at that $800, you're like, oh, well, I could just pay that off.
That's right.
Why didn't we just pay that off, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't I just do that?
Exactly.
So this is what a mentor or someone to lead you is going to show you, and they're going to keep you accountable to. You could just pay that off.
That's right.
And it's this concept of N equals 1.
Yeah.
So how many houses have you bought? Well, 1. So I'm a landlord. I've bought several houses. It's not one. It's not a million. But if I talk to a real estate agent, they've bought and sold a ton of them.
That's
right.
right.
When we're at the gym and someone's like, well, how can you look at me with like 2 lifts and know how to help me? Because N doesn't equal 1. I've watched this lift a million times. Right. It's the same sort of thing. You don't know what you don't know until someone just says, duh. You're like, wow, how about that? You know what? My dad probably told me that because my dad said it, I didn't want to listen. But because you did,
that's right.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, that's right.
So then what's the debt avalanche?
So the debt avalanche is more focused on the brain, right? So this is for folks who are like, hey, this is where we start saying, wouldn't it be smarter if? This is the wouldn't it be smarter if people, which I may have heard someone I'm talking to, may favor this method. So,
I didn't do it.
Okay.
It does. So all the engineers out there are all saying, wait, just the highest percentage first.
That's
no,
right.
guys, I get it. You also don't have emotions, and it's
That's
okay.
Right. That's right.
If you're a normal human that has emotions, it took me 50 years to get those emotions, you can't do it this way. It just won't. Because the wins don't come. You need small successes. You need stepping points. And that's what the snowball does. But the avalanche does what?
Yeah, so the avalanche, instead of looking at the smallest balance to highest balance, you look at the highest interest to lowest interest. So the notion is, let's go with the most mathematically strong bang for our buck with the avalanche. What it does not do is enable you to have those quick wins, which does not help with motivation. And although maybe you're saving money by paying on that 9% or 25% before you pay on your 3%, you're never getting to the point of freeing up that entire balance and seeing that thing gone.
Right.
So it feels like, well, my brain tells me this is smart, but like my heart has not come to life in this process. I do not yet believe this is going to change anything. Right. With that snowball, you actually see it because that junk is just gone. You've knocked it out and you don't even have to worry about it anymore.
Right. No more letters or no more emails.
No more letters, no more
gone.
emails. Yeah. And it's, the Ramsey folks, they say, I think they say money is about 80%. It's more about, basically emotion than head knowledge. It's about behavior. 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge is what they say. So, and you really see that playing out with the debt snowball. Debt avalanche sounds great, makes sense, but from a really behavior change perspective, it doesn't get you there. And you probably would give up. I imagine it's something like if you're, when I trained for the full marathon, it wasn't going well and I gave up on the entire process. That was before I actually successfully ran it. Then when I did successfully run it, I believed in the process, I did the right things, and I was successful in the outcome. So I think there's a lot of connections that can be made there. And the nice thing about this whole thing is the Ramsey folks, it's literally been like tens of millions of people have gotten out of debt and built wealth following this. So I don't really need to create my own plan if you've already found out that there's a plan that 10 millions of people have done. And the other piece to this too is we talked about with I think we were talking about furniture and car dealers. So what's in it for them? When you look at it with the Ramsey folks, they're not actually profiting off of what I did back in 2020, with the exception of it, I paid for the class. That was it. But really, the person who's winning is the person who's going through the process. So they're not sitting there, they're not benefiting any way, shape, or form, aside from maybe you pay for the class or buy their book. But really, they're getting to take part in that transformation, and that's really where the magic is. And that's the part that I love too. Yeah. So while I may get paid to mentor somebody in financial coaching, by me getting to see somebody else have those wins is it's encouraging. It's one of those things, you hear people talk about, when you're in your zone, when you're in your sweet spot, like work doesn't feel like work and you lose track of time.
That's right.
For me, that happens with financial coaching and it happens with career coaching. Yeah. And those things are so connected, but seeing people find freedom, step into stuff that they were born to do and realize, oh my gosh, I've been doing it this way for 38 years or for 50 years. And now there's a new, I can now see a path forward, whereas I previously didn't see this. And so getting to be part of that transformation is really powerful.
Yeah, that's
I love
cool
it.
If you can work in your zone. Mine is coaching and spanking my children.
Okay.
Just kidding, kids. I know you don't listen to this. Yeah, that's another thing I changed. Don't spank as often, guys.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think the part, well, so maybe it's a universal truth. Maybe it's written in the Bible somewhere about money in your heart and all that. But it's this behavior change, even in what we do. So this is going to come out way after. But right now is January 30th. Happy birthday, Levi. Levi just turned 18 today. But it's January 30th. On February 1st, we're going to do Log Your Food. So I know this will come out after it. So it's kind of a weird, we're basically in a DeLorean going back to the future. Yeah, I know.
Congratulations.
So weird. These podcasts get weird in my head. Someone was like, "Oh, I just heard you say it." I'm like, "I recorded that 6 weeks ago."
Yeah.
I don't even know what I said. But if you put a little bit of attention in logging your food or tracking your finances, if you watch it, things that are tracked and measured get attention.
That's right.
You're going to learn something about your behavior.
Yes.
And you're like, "Wow, I snack every night." Right before, if I don't go to bed at 10, I snack at 11 big time.
Yep.
Make sure you go to bed at 10,
That's right?
Learn these things. It's literally not rocket science.
Yeah.
You can't, it's like when you tell your friend, I don't know, you're in college and you're dating someone, and they're like, they did this thing that's bad. They're like, yeah, they're bad for you.
Yeah.
You can't see it because it's you.
That's right.
You can't see your behavior.
Yep.
And this is why it works in the gym. So we've been doing this, these squat cleans or power cleans for an 8-week cycle. So this week is the week 5, and I'm watching people progress, and I'm giving them these things, and it's like it's repeated action that somebody else, me, can see you do to switch. In this case, it's not necessarily behavior, it's a movement, right? To get you moving in the correct direction. Same thing with finances.
Yeah.
If you don't have a plan or a goal, you're going to go to the plan or goal of the person that's got one, which is going to be like, finance it with us because we want your money.
Yeah, that's right.
Get another subscription because we want your money.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't spend. Right. Spend and live a good life.
Yeah.
So the podcast name, well, I don't really have a name, but the podcast theme is of fitness, food, and finances. And the reason I say that is, if you're going to have fitness and food, so you're going to live a long time, you better have money. Otherwise, you're going to be a burden on somebody. Or if you're going to have a lot of money, and you're not going to have fitness and food, you're not going to do your health right, then you're just going to give somebody else all your money. So what was it for, right? Yeah. So you really need, I mean, there's more that you need, but I couldn't, like, you have to pick words, and they were all F's, so they fit.
Yeah, I've heard about your for coaching, by the way.
That's right, yes, fun, fitness, and for coaching, that's it. So, I mean, I would put like friends and faith and future. Let's hope. Like, you got to have, I could probably put
just
all
not
those
French
in there.
fries.
No, yes, right, yeah. Sweet potato fries if you're going to do them. But guys, this stuff isn't hard. In COVID times, when the economy was going weird, I did a Facebook Live where I tried to talk about this, and we got some friends that would like help people hook them up. And like, so I think 3 of us did it in a class like yours. Yeah. But I mean, that was like 3 years ago. So this is now. So what is now? You guys have the opportunity to work one-on-one with someone, or you have the opportunity to go to one of Jubilee's outreach programs, which is a financial piece, right? And you don't even have to be a member to go. You just, hey, I'm interested in not being in debt.
Yeah, honestly, we would love to run a class that is not folks who are connected to Jubilee.
Right.
Yeah, so that'd be great.
And you're going to probably see us like mix in some fun. So Aaron has got a bunch of guys. Well, this podcast will come out after it's probably already happened, but he had, I don't know, whatever, it's in the future now, a bunch of guys going to his house to sit around a campfire, drink bourbon and smoke cigars and just like have fun. And that's at Jubilee. But like, I think half the people showing up are guys from the garage that happen to go there too. So I'm like, dude, we should mix these things. And like, I think last time they threw axes and maybe didn't drink and threw axes
and knives.
Yeah. So, I mean, fun stuff is happening, right?
That's right.
But guys, it's money. Yes, money can't make you happy, but I tell you what, driving your boat on the lake with the wind blowing in your hair certainly makes you smile. And so while money can't make you happy, neither does poverty. So choose a path, choose wealth, choose something that you can leave your children. If you don't have a plan, you're just leaving them debt. Yeah. Have a plan. Yeah. And the easy way into it is talk to somebody, read a book. Would you say, well, what's the podcast called so they can look them up?
The main one is called The Ramsey Show.
Oh, that's easy then.
It's called The Ramsey Show. It's got a blue background. It's got little faces. They swap out the Ramsey personality faces. And it'll be 2 people that host. They do it every day of the week. They do a 3-hour block, and they release it on I listen to it on Spotify, but they release it as one episode that's all 3 hours condensed into one. You can download it. It's easy. The other one that I recommended is Smart Money Happy Hour. That's shorter. It's about 25 to 30 minutes, and they infuse the Ramsey principles, but it's in like pop culture things. So I am pop culturally ignorant. I don't like being on the internet because I'm not sure that there's a lot of great stuff on the internet. So, this has actually brought me into a point of having some semblance of awareness of current events. So, maybe you want to just learn and be entertained, but it also helps teach.
Yeah, that is good stuff. Or if you're a reader, you can pick up a book. I am not a reader. I do have several of his books on Audible, so they read them to me. It's really good. And again, it's not rocket science. You could literally do this on your own. Just look at your finances. If you hate money, then don't do this. If you feel like, hey, money is a tool, and I would like to utilize it, then do this. Any problem that's out there that can be solved by money isn't a problem unless you don't have the money, right? And one way to have it is don't be dumb with it. Spend on the smart stuff. Don't just pay for interest. Right, it's just free money going out there. It's never free money.
Yeah, that's right. There's always an agenda.
All right. Yeah. Any other parting thoughts? Yeah,
a couple things that you just touched on there that I wanted to highlight. One of them is you mentioned, sometimes you can't see things for yourself. But it takes somebody else to point them out in you. That's been the case with everybody that I've worked with, and I've probably, it's not a huge number, but I'm counting on fingers and toes at this point of people that I've helped. So it's more than 10, and I do have more than 10 fingers, which is good. I think I have 10 toes. It's been a while since I've looked, but almost all of them, when we get to the end, they're like, oh yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and I think it is just helpful to see something, especially trusting that somebody has walked through it themselves. That is such a big piece. And I've walked through it, and I'm still walking through it, and I'm excited to be on that journey. So I love connecting there. The other piece would be great if I remember, but I unfortunately don't.
No, that's good. Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
We segue and we depart. But
That's right.
Guys, it's important that you not only have health through your fitness, health through your money, but sorry, your food, but also a healthy respect for that long life with finances.
Yeah, and the thought came back to me. So I think it's very important anytime you're putting yourself through something hard to know your why and know what your motivation is. For me, a big part of my motivation to have financial freedom is generosity. And so, yes, it's great to have money. Yes, it's great to be, able to do the things that you want to do without having to think about it. But it's an even bigger draw for me to be able to make that impact in other people's lives. Yeah. So I give faithfully and generously to Jubilee Church. I think the Bible is very clear. You should give first and foremost to your local church. But we also get to do cool stuff with our money. We've bought people cars before. They haven't been great cars, but they've been cars. Yeah. We've given money towards adoptions. I got to go to Africa this past summer, and we just paid for that out of 1 month's income. It was like, oh yeah, I can pay for this trip.
Or like your buddies down in the States, bro.
Yeah.
They can eat Chick-fil-A whenever they want.
They can eat Chick-fil-A whenever they want.
Not that you should.
Not
I know
that you
God
should.
made Chick-fil-A. And so in most diet plans here in the South, you can do Chick-fil-A,
That's right.
but it's not really, you shouldn't do Chick-fil-A all the time.
And this is something that I learned in those days of running, of the early morning wake-ups when I would have to run 10, 12 miles before going into work and also get my kids up, is when you focus on that why, you're going to put in the work. You're going to put in the hard work. If you don't have a clear motivation for why you're doing those things, you're not actually going to do them. And it's easier to just stay the same. But when you have a clear picture of, hey, I'm doing this to change my family tree, or because I don't want my kids to have student loan debt, or because, my parents still have a mortgage on their house and I want to have a different story for my life, right. Focus on that why for you. And then when you start leaning into this hard stuff, that's going to push you through.
Yeah, just so powerful. So stories are important. The stories you tell yourself is important. At the gym, I tell people all the time, what's your why?
Yeah.
You need a sticky why. You're not going to come in here and do this work if you don't have a why.
That's right.
My sticky why for health and fitness is I want to be able to coach my kids' in soccer.
Yeah.
Now, do I really care if I coach them in soccer? No. But the point is I have a vision.
Yeah, that's right.
Of me being like this.
Yeah.
I can stand up, I can sit down, I can wipe my own rear end, and I'm going to be active.
Yeah,
my mind is clear enough that I can talk to them and right?
Yep.
On the money side of it, my vision is I want my kids to not be stuck in W-2.
Mm-hmm.
They should understand the beauty of 1099. And if you don't know what that is, then that's a problem. You should definitely know what that is, right? Become your own boss.
Yeah.
If you want to. Yeah. Have the ability to, right? An easy way, literally, not Dave Ramsey, Robert Kiyosaki said it. Any idiot can be a landlord. Mm-hmm. I am living proof. I am any idiot. You buy a house that's not for you and you let someone else live in it. That works. At the moment, I am working on evicting 2 people. So there is some trouble in there. I mean, you got to decide, is it a business or a charity, right? So it's sometimes that stuff. But have a why. Mm-hmm. I would dare say, even a why on all of the things, your friendships, your faith, your, what you're doing with your kids' education. If you have a good why and you understand that principle, you'll stick to it and you'll make it happen.
That's right.
Now you may edit it, but at least you're going to your destination, not the guy down the street that wants you to come to, wherever, Las Vegas and have fun. I don't know.
I love that.
That bad fun, yeah. Okay, last thing. So we used to rent that billboard on 92 by the gym. If you had that billboard and could put any message to the world, doesn't have to be health, doesn't have to be fitness, doesn't have to be finances, but any message to the world right there, that billboard, what would you put on that billboard for everyone to see in the world, not in the world, on 92 in Woodstock?
Oh boy. I feel like I'm going to pull a George Michaels and say, you got to have faith.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, most people don't know who that is.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We, Jitterbug.
That was when he was with Wham. So that's like Wham. Going further back.
And I think a lot of people would know Last Christmas, which I'm not sure if you've ever seen that music video, but it is very interesting. There's a lot of skiing.
They don't even do music videos, I don't think, anymore. I think MTV is not even...
We found out about this from karaoke.
Okay.
So if you Google and YouTube karaoke specifically. So karaoke, Last Christmas, Wham. You'll see some
All the
epic
snow.
skiing and really feathered hair.
That would be a good question. What would your karaoke song be? I might add that to my repertoire.
I like it. I like it. So I think you got to have faith. And really with this, of course, I am a Christian. I'm a believer. So like faith for me is essential. You know, shout out to Jubilee Church. But it's also faith for this motivation that we talked about. So it's faith that if I do these things, it will actually be worth it. It's worth it for me to go through hard things, because future me will say thank you to present me that says, hey, I'm really glad you did that when you were 37, instead of, I really wish you had done something different.
It's the delayed gratification, I think, becomes the big part of it. Yeah. And the 10 million people before you are going to tell you, yes, the path works. Just follow the lessons. All right, guys. Hey, this is Andy McCann with CrossFit Garage. We're down in Woodstock. Yes, we are a gym, but we really believe in coaching, mentoring, and accountability. Sometimes the mentoring is this, it's finances, right? In the end, our mission, our vision, the drive we have is we want you to be the hero of your own story. Whatever that's going to be. If your story is the czar of Woodstock, great. I don't know what that means, but we want to help you get there. We want you to find the tools. Many times those tools are, I need motivation, and we have a group of very motivated people. If you need help, we're here for you, primarily on the fitness side, but food and finances. You can find us online, CrossFitGarage.com. If you're looking for Scott, you can find him through me. My phone number is on the website. Just go look it up and you can call me or text me. My email address is andy@CrossFitGarage.com. We have Instagram, Facebook, and we put things on there. I also have my own Instagram and Facebook accounts. You can follow those if you want. I kind of share the same sort of stuff, but get into a lot more chickens and like growing your own food, because it's food. How better to have your own food than like literally have chickens poop out eggs for you and be like, thank you, chicken.
They poop them out? Is it the same hole?
So chickens have
have a cloaca.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just learned that word.
Okay.
So Jordan would love you. We played D&D with a couple guys from the gym, and he's like, it's a cloaca. I'm like, what? What?
One hole.
So one hole for everything. So it's like a ring to rule them all. So the eggs come out, and they're like, where is the best place to store your eggs? In the chicken. So just have chickens.
Doesn't have to be refrigerated.
No. And so here's the crazy part too. I didn't know this about these eggs. This is bonus material just for you for sticking into the end. If you were old enough, or could go back and watch black and white TV, they did invent color, but it was just all black and white because that's how TVs worked back then. If you watch like Mr. Ed or that's the Talking Horse, or My Favorite Martian, or any of the Green Acres, any of those things, they're going to have a bucket of eggs on the table just sitting out. And you're thinking, wait a minute, why would they have eggs sitting out? We put ours in the refrigerator. And here's why. When a chicken lays an egg, it's got a coating around it that is airtight. And sometimes it has poop on it because, again, the cloaca is one hole to rule them all. So it's just got one out spout, whatever, right? And so when it comes out, sometimes it's going to have poop on it. And you know who doesn't want to buy eggs with poop on it?
Most people.
So they're like, let's dip them in ammonia and like wash them off and scrub them gently.
Okay.
And so that takes off the coating. Now you have to refrigerate them.
Interesting.
But we have our eggs underneath in a cupboard on the shelf or down on the whatever, and they can sit there. I have hatched eggs that are 3 months old.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, somebody knew what they were doing when they made the egg. I guess the egg came first because it can last longer. I don't know. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me out here.
Thank you,
and
Andy.
guys, if you need us, we're here for you.